So the session this evening is we're going to work on lower back tension. So it's quite a gentle beginning, easing that out. And it's got some general warm up as well. So if you weren't feeling particularly strenuous, the beginning bit of this is really quite nice. And then if you feel that you want a bit more, I actually am heading towards, hopefully all goes well, I'm heading towards reverse triangle. So let's start with lying flat on our mat like we usually do. So making sure you're comfortable. I would recommend having a blanket underneath you for this session because we're doing quite a lot of floor work at the beginning. You can keep your socks on and make sure you're warm enough. So first of all, just resting in corpse pose. We're going to really do 3 minutes of a 3-minute check-in, 3-minute breathing space. So the hands are beside the sides, about a foot away, palms upwards. Move the shoulders away from the head. The feet are about 2 foot apart or more. Let the toes go outwards. If you think, oh, my lower back feels really weird, just bring the knees up a moment and flatten out that lower back by bringing the knees up close. And then slide the legs down. Might need to push through the head, lift the shoulders up and slide them down again. There we go, corpse pose. So how are we? Let's do the 3-minute breathing space. First minute, checking in. Mind, emotions, body. So how is the mind doing? What are we thinking about? What's whirling around in there? See if we can notice. And no judgment, no kind of telling yourself off for having this thought or that thought. Just being aware of what we're thinking about kindly, understanding, tenderly, even sometimes humorously, that helps. Okay, and then noticing how we're feeling emotionally in this moment. And again, no judgment, just being aware, noticing, giving yourself some love and kindness. Okay, and then noticing how the body is feeling in this moment. Quick scan around the body. What's not okay? What's doing fine? What's asking for our attention? And not necessarily pushing away any discomfort. Mainly kind awareness, knowing, acknowledging, and remembering to adapt our practice to the wonky bits or the hurting bits of our own body, so we don't make anything worse. Be gentle, be kind, be careful. And then we come into the second minute of the 3-minute breathing space and we observe the breath. So the body is being breathed. and the mind probably wanders off. We come back to aware of this breath, and the pause, and the next breath, and the pause. Amazing miracle of the breath. And then the final minute is being aware of the breath, the body, the emotions, the mind, exactly how we are in this moment, here, now, on this mat, in this room, in this yoga session. And however we are, meeting that with gentleness, with tenderness. And also really congratulating ourselves on getting here, being here for our practice. Okay. So carrying that awareness on into our practice, into our poses, into our breathing work. I'd like you to bring the legs parallel to each other for a moment and breathe in, stretch the arms above the head and point the toes away from you and towards you. So again, I just have to say that I'm still protecting my right Achilles tendon. So don't necessarily do what my right foot is doing because I'm protecting it. But I'll say what you should be doing with your feet. I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. Okay, so stretching now, bring the toes towards you and continue to extend the arms. Push the right heel away from you and the right fingers away. Push the left heel away from you and the left fingers away. And then both heels and both fingertips, both hands on everything away, away. Opening out in the belly as much as possible. Nice long stretch. Okay, and then can you bend the left knee and place the left hand on the hip? And then I'd like you to right leg to keep straight, point the toes, and right arm stretching behind you. So this is to just really emphasize that the left is relaxing, while the right is stretching. Keep breathing into that. Lovely, and then swap over, right knee bent, right hand on the hip, left toes stretching away, and behind, left hand behind the head. Stretch, 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 while totally relaxing the right hand side. Lovely. And then we're just going to do gentle twists. So bring both knees up. We're going to go into Jatari Paravrita. So the arms are out by the shoulders and take the knees down. Oh, you brought the heels up close to the torso and take the knees down to the left and look to the right. And then breathe in and come up. And breathe out. Down, knees to the right, look to the left. And breathe in and come up. So most yoga students are very familiar with this particular twist because it's easy to do, but it's extremely effective. Doing some lovely stretches across the abdominal area and also into the back. And hopefully, if you really look the opposite way, we're doing some twists into those the neck vertebra, 7 neck vertebra and discs. Okay, and then just stay down on one side, pause and let go into that twist. It's a nice warm-up pose, this one. Actually gets the body moving. And then your own home practice, you can stay in this much longer. So breathing in, coming up, And then breathing out, going down the opposite side, and looking the other way, and relaxing into it, relaxing the arms, the face, letting go. Okay, and breathing in, coming up, and I'd like you to stretch the legs out and cross your right ankle over your left. Okay, and then I'd like you to move onto your left, bring your right hand up to the hand, like so. Okay, and then breathe out, take that arm down and look to the right. So your toes are going to the left and you're looking to the right. Breathing into it. Let both legs are straight. Right ankle is on top of the left ankle. And they're both now pointing to the left. Okay, breathing in, we swap that over. So both legs straight and face the left foot, left ankle on top of the right. Roll over onto your right side. Bring your left hand up to the ceiling. Okay, so you're now lying on your right side, and then take your left hand down to the floor on the left. And move your shoulders if you need to. A handy trick is to push through the head whilst lifting the shoulders up. And then you've got your left back of the hand, hopefully on the floor on the left, and you're looking to the left. Okay. Breathing into that. And this is really nice, strong lying down twist. And of course, doing about the same amount of time on both sides. Okay, and then coming back on an in-breath, coming back up, lying flat in Shavasana for a moment. Obviously, Shavasana is a really good interim pose between poses when we're lying on our backs. And then I'd like you to bring the soles of the feet together. So you're lying in Supta Baddha Konasana, the lying down cobbler, and the heels are coming up towards the torso, or you can actually use your shoulders to wriggle your torso closer to your heels. Okay, just stretching out. So you've got various hand positions. Your knees are going out wide apart, your heels are close up to the body. Now the hands can be out at Maltese cross, going out at right angles from the torso, or they can be stretching away from you. Backs of the hands on the floor, away from you, past the head. Or they can be resting on the belly, palms downwards, or even on the tops of the thighs where the hips are, palms downwards. And the last hand position, which happens to be my favourite, is to clasp the hands behind the head and just rest the back of the head on the hands. So pausing and breathing into this pose. It's a nice groin stretch. It also helps the hip joints. And then after a while, you can rock from side to side with those knees. Just rocking the pelvis from side to side. And you'll feel how it massages the lower part, just above the hips of the abdominal area. So you're getting the lower part of the ascending colon and the lower part of the descending colon and across the small intestine. So it's a nice bit of digestive massage in there. Okay, and then if you do have socks on, I would recommend taking socks off because we're going to go into the bridge pose. And if you do have a blanket on your mat, either move it away or just gather it underneath you so that your feet actually touch the mat. And your mat should be slightly kind of sticky. So it helps the feet not to slide away. So, bridge pose, the heels come up to hip joint width apart, close to that hip joint where the bone of the thigh, the femur, goes into the socket. Okay, and let's just do our gentle pelvic rock while we're lying here. So rock the pelvis towards you, it's quite subtle, and rock the pelvis away from you. Or you can think of it as tailbone towards you and tailbone down towards the ground. Hands are resting wherever you like. And this subtle movement, as you can see, it's moving and exercising your thigh muscles, buttock muscles, abdominal muscles, and lower back muscles. So even though it looks like hardly anything is happening, it's yoga by stealth here. Right, and when you've done that a few times, pause and check even weight distribution through your feet, which we want to maintain throughout this pose, throughout the bridge pose. So you don't want to just end up pushing through your heels, nor pushing through the balls of the feet, but actually the whole foot. So keep an eye on that. The other tricky thing is the chin to the chest, really keeping the chin tucked in throughout this pose. We don't want the chin going up towards the heavens. So let's rock the pelvis towards us and breathe in, lift the arms up and behind us as the pelvis comes up off the floor. And we're hoping to get a straight line from the knees, knee joint, front of the kneecap, down towards the throat. Chin's tucked in, lengthen the back of the neck. Okay, and breathe out and come down. And then rock the pelvis away from you. So the hands come down to the floor as the back comes down to the floor and sink. And then breathing in, up we go again, and just keep doing it with your breath. If the front of your kneecap, breathing out, coming down, if the front of your kneecap begins to hurt, breathing going up, then move that side, move the foot off that kneecap side that's hurting, and you'll find that you can adjust the pressure on the front of your kneecap, because we don't want to exacerbate any slight weakness in there. So adjust. And hopefully you're getting a sense of that rhythm. In breath going up, push through evenly through the feet. Out breath coming down, and there's the point where nothing's happening, the kumbhaka, the still point between breathing. And it happens both when we're up in the pose and when we're down and have stopped the out breath. Okay, and the next up, staying up, lifting up, using back muscles. Push through the feet evenly. Relax the shoulders and tuck the chin in. And try and imagine that there's a kind of hoist underneath your pelvis, lifting your pelvis up to the heavens. Okay. Breathing into that. Breathing, breathing, breathing. And the more you do this, the more you'll find it gets easier and easier as the back muscles begin to strengthen up. And then when you're ready, I mean, minimum is 30 seconds up there, but when you're ready, coming down, push the pelvis away, and then just rest again in the lying down cobbler. So soles of the feet together, chin towards the chest, open out the shoulder blades underneath, wiggle, jiggle, wiggle, jiggle. Then relax the shoulders onto the floor, palms upwards. Hands by the sides, about a foot away from the body on each side. Or more. And can you just check that you can really pull back the arms on both sides out of the shoulder socket. Because they tend to keep thinking they have to kind of scrunch together or they'll fall off, they won't fall off. Relax the face. Nothing to do. Really just being, breathing in, breathing out. Okay, and then for the next pose, I'd like you to roll over onto your side and come over. And if you want to, you can again put your blanket underneath you. Come over so that you're actually lying on your front, on your mat, comfortably. Okay, and I'd like you to, we're going into Sphinx, and a Sphinx variation as well. So bring the elbows underneath the shoulders, or more or less in line with the shoulders comfortably. They can be a little bit in front of the shoulders, depending how it feels on your shoulders. Okay. Elbows are probably actually a bit more aligned with the chest, the front chest, right? And then inhaling, lift up upper body up, leading with the crown towards the heavens. Your forearms are parallel to each other. Your middle fingers are parallel to each other. Your hands can be fingers can be a little bit wide, nice wide palm. And then push the pelvis into the ground as you look at the opposite wall. Okay, so this is the Sphinx. Breathing into that. And the more you push the pelvis into the floor, the more you'll feel muscles around your sacroiliac joints, parts of your pelvis, lower back, engage. Keep the crown lifting up to the heavens, keep the shoulders going down to the floor, breathing into that. Okay, and then we're going to do a little variation here. So I'd like you to walk your feet and your legs over to the right. Okay, so it's as though you've got straight legs are being pulled to one side. And that gives you most extraordinary stretch twist. Okay. And you'll probably find if you've gone over to the right, you're actually leaning more on your left arm. It's okay. Breathing into that. Rest there a moment. See if that's as far as you can go. Might need to lift the thighs up off the floor a bit to get a little bit more movement round to the right. Okay, and then walking them back to the centre. Well done. And then we go the other way, okay? So walking to the left, toes, tops of the feet, walking to the left, and try and keep the torso pointing to 12 o'clock, which is at the end of your mat. Torso face pointing to the front. Obviously, the lower part of the torso is following the legs. But we've got a sense of that twist happening around the waist area. Breathing into that same amount of time, this side as the other side. Okay, and then breathing out, bringing the legs back, breathing normally. Okay, pause, maybe stack your hands one on top of the other underneath of one cheek. Look to one side and rest that cheek on your stacked hands, which are arms, forearms resting on the floor. Fingers pointing towards the opposite arm. And then rest on the opposite cheek. Resting is usually nice. Good. And we're going to move into Salabhasana, the locust. So I'd like you to bring your forehead to the floor And I'd like you to take your hands down to the sides, palms downwards. So they can't really easily be close into the body, but as close in as you can do. And first of all, breathe in, lift the head up. So we've got that head lift. And shoulders go up. Okay, really engaging muscles there. Feel them from the lower back. And then I'd like you to lift your right leg up and keep that left hip down. Keep breathing. We've got next kind of one-legged locust lift. Ekapada Salavasana. And then breathe out. That leg goes down, forehead to floor. Rest. Rest wherever you like for your arms for a moment. It's probably gone a bit muffled because I'm facing my blanket. I'm talking into my blanket. And then we're going to do the other side. So palms down. Okay, by the sides of the body, just walk the fingers away from the head. We're keeping the shoulders away from the head. And then first of all, breathe in, lift the head up. Keep that lift up, shoulders up. And then lift the left leg straight up. So you're trying to look at the opposite wall and try to not have the shoulders coming too close to the head. Okay. And if your hands and arms feel uncomfortable, you know how you fold your arms in front, you can actually fold your arms behind, resting on your lower back. See if that helps. Okay, that's the amount of time. Breathing out, coming down, forehead to the floor. Rest the arms wherever you like. And then we're going to do the full locust. So turn the palms to the floor. Breathing in, lift and extend, open the throat, lift the head, crown of the head coming up to the ceiling. Lift both legs, lift both arms out like wings. Okay, and breathing into that. Keep the shoulders down. Shoulder blades going down towards your tailbone. Looking at the opposite wall. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Okay. A little bit more if you can. If not, come down, obviously. Okay, breathing out, bringing the forehead to the floor, relax the hands, and then bring the hands underneath the forehead, stack the hands one on top of the other, and just rest your forehead on your stacked hands comfortably. Relax the shoulders. And we're going to go into a flapping fish pose. Okay, we don't do this one too often, but it's a good one. I like it. I hope you like it. So think about where your right knee is, and what I want you to do is bring that right knee up towards your right elbow. Okay, so your leg's on the ground, you bent the knee, and it's coming up to the side to try to meet the right elbow, and then take the right elbow with it's holding on to the left hand, bring the right elbow towards your right knee. Okay, and then rest your head, left cheek looking on the ground and looking at your right knee. That's the flapping fish pose. And breathing into it, it's an interesting twist. A little bit hard on the chest for women. Hope you managed to make it comfy. Okay, and then release that right leg straight and bring your hands back into position so you can rest your forehead
on your stacked hands and pause there for a moment, legs straight in the starter pose, and then obviously we're going to do it on the other side. So think where your left knee is.
And bend your left knee and bring it up towards your left elbow as far as it can go, okay? As far as you can get back. Knee up, and then holding onto your right hand, move your left elbow towards your left knee and rest either on your left cheek or somewhere on the left side, sorry, on the right side of the head, right cheek, right side of the head, breathing into that. Hopefully comfortably letting go. And it can be a little bit uncomfortable on the chest. So this is Matsya, matches a fish, Kritasana. Okay, and then when you've done about the same amount of time, coming all the way back into the starter pose, putting the leg back, hands comfortably stacked, and forehead resting on the hands. And we're going to move up to a kneeling pose. So slide the hands underneath the shoulders or a little bit further even. Push through the hands. Come up, widen out the knees. Bring the big toes together. Sit back onto the heels, forehead to the floor. Stretch the arms away from you, okay? So really walk those fingers away from you as much as possible. Walking fingers. So you want that nice long spinal stretch. And just keep encouraging the tailbone to the heels and encouraging the fingertips away from the head. Long stretch in the back, breathing into it. And when you're fully in position, relax the arms, because you might unconsciously be actually holding them there tense. Just let them go. And try to feel as comfortably relaxed as possible in this pose. So this pose has several names. Some people call it the rabbit, we call the swan. Can be called Uthita Balasana, which is a strong extended child pose. But it's a pose of security, safety, being protected, soothing, very soothing. It's a forward bend, of course, and all forward bends are soothing and calming to the physical heart, as well as the heart chakra. So, and then where your hands are, just push through the palms, walk the palms towards you so that you can push and come up. All right, so that you're just kneeling for a moment, comfortably kneeling, and separate the feet out wide with the big toes touching at the back, and roll the shoulders back. Okay, that's it, just rolling them back, and then roll them forward. And just take your arms up, palms facing each other. Lift, 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 lift. Lift, 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 lift. Crown lifting, crown lifting. Okay. And then breathing out, coming down. Hands down to the knees. Okay. Some people call this a frog pose or wide kneeling pose. Frog is Mandukasana. I'm sitting comfortably in the frog pose. And from here, we're going to move into the dynamic cat, Majrasana, cat pose. So I'd like you to, if you know you need padding for your knees when you're doing this pose, find your padding, roll up a blanket or roll up your mat so that you've got padding beneath your knees. If you've got these plastic pad things, they're really good. So you can put your blanket down to give you extra padding as well. So with your knees on some kind of padding to protect them, we're just going to go into the dynamic cat pose. So we want the wrists to be underneath our shoulders. Okay, and we want our knees to be underneath our hip joint. So hopefully right angles all round until we make a nice steady table pose with the front of the face parallel to the floor. And just breathing into that, but check that the back of the neck is nice and open. And that the tops of the feet are resting on the floor, okay? And then most of you know what the cat is like. As you breathe in, your tailbone goes up to the heavens and you look up to the heavens and you make this lovely hammock shape. And then there's a pause, and then you breathe out and you bring the chin through to the chest. You lift your shoulder blades up to the heavens and you tuck your tailbone right under into that wonderful bridge pose. And then you reverse, breathe in into hammock. So keep going with that. Out breaths, going into bridge. In breaths, you're going into hammock. Keep the abdominal muscles rather than let them collapse to the floor, slightly holding them. Okay. Those of you who know Mula Bandha, the base lock, you can pull in the base lock, and when you get into the bridge, you can pull in the chin lock, and you'll get the Maha Bandha. 3 bandhas together, 3 locks together. So if the mind wanders off, just be aware of the spine, vertebra disc, moving one way, each disc, and then the other way, each disc. There's a ripple going up the back and down the back. Maximum movement into all those vertebrae and discs, even including the 7 cervical, the 7 neck vertebrae. And then eventually ending up in the hammock and just holding the pose. If you feel that your wrists are complaining, they don't like being at this angle, you can even go on to fists. As long as you get the angle of the arms right, you can go on to the fists comfortably. And looking up, hammock pose, tailbone to the heavens, holding the abdominal core. Breathing into the nose, relax the shoulders, relax the face. Breathe. Breathe. And then breathing out into the bridge. Maximum exaggerated bridge. Mahabandha, 3 locks, face lock, abdominal, chin. And then after you've done about the same amount of time in this really exaggerated bridge pose, bring the toes together at the back, sit back onto your heels, stretch your hands forward again, into that long stretch, forward, forward, forward to the floor. You can widen out your knees, especially if you need a bit of room for your belly. And then pausing, resting, relax the arms. Nice end pose for the cat stretches. Relax the shoulders, open out the shoulder blades. and breathing into it. Okay, and then we're going to be doing some lateral stretches, so you can keep the knee padding for your knees, keep the blanket on the mat. We're doing some kneeling lateral stretches, and we're going to do them with threading the needle. So I'd like you to just check that your hands and knees are where they were for cat, right underneath the joints above them, so the wrists are just underneath the shoulder joint, and the knees are just underneath the hip joint. And then thread your right arm under and through your left arm, and you really go down onto the right shoulder. Okay, and you try and take that right hand even further over, so it's quite a good lateral twist. You probably feel it around the right shoulder blade. Really pushing into it as far as you can go. Okay. And then breathing in that hand back. Pause, look down at the floor. Breathe in. Breathe out, take the left hand through, under the right arm, and left shoulder to the floor. Again, a lovely lateral stretch and twist. And just see if you can encourage that left hand to go an inch or two further away. Turn onto the left side of the head if you can. And relaxing into the pose, let go. Relax the front arm. Allow the pose to work on you as much as possible until you've done about the same amount of time on that side. And then you come back in on an out breath to the center. Okay. And turn my mat so you can see me this way on. What I'd like you to do then is I'd like you to go back into that table position and then walk your hands to the right. Okay. You're walking your hands to the right so they get to in line with your knees, and you look behind you at your feet. That's an interesting twist. Okay, see if you can walk them a little bit more. Gone past the knees now. So knees stay where they were, and the hands have moved. Breathing into that pose, looking at your feet. Hopefully you can see your left foot. That's your right foot. So it's like a cat looking round at their tail. Okay, and then on the out breath, breathing out and coming round with the hands to the front, starting again in table, and you know what's going to happen next because we're going over to the left. So walk your hands, palms downwards, round to the left. Just line with the knees, a little bit further, see if you can. See if you can really do a twisting cat and look round, see if you can see your right foot past your left foot, knees staying exactly where they were. Of course, if at any point your knees hurt or anything's going, oh, please, this is painful, don't. Just pause, come out of the pose or release back. Do less, less, less. So staying in this pose for the same amount of time. Okay. And we then, breathing out, walk your hands backwards to the front. Lovely. And then let's come down into child pose, so that your forehead is on the floor. Separate the knees a little, hands by the ankles, palms upwards. Open up the shoulder blades, relaxing into the pose. If you need a small cushion underneath your forehead, that's very nice, very comfy. Breathing into it. For now, open out the back as much as possible, so those shoulders are going down towards the floor rather than to the head. If anything, you can stretch the arms and the hands past your feet. Stretch so you can get your shoulders away from the head. Yeah? Then relax the arms. So pose, Balasana, child pose, pose of safety, security, protection, soothing, calming, stress relieving, nothing to do. And it's lovely when you get to a chance to just relax into a pose. Just let go. Hold the shoulders up. Just melt downwards into the earth. And noticing so much of the work that has been happening in there. The interesting twists and lateral stretches. Just letting those changes happen in the body. Lovely to pause and break. Nothing to rush onto. Relaxing into it. And then in your own home practice, you'd wait until you feel like your breathing's come back to normal, you feel quite rested, and then you can bring the hands to the side of the head and push and come up. And because of the work we've been doing, I'd just like you to do again some shoulder rotations and then forward shoulder rotations. Okay, and then take the arms out and do twists through the arms. Whether you can see, but I've got this interesting kind of Egyptian dance twist going on. And I'm really stretching my hands out as I was trying to touch these walls on either side of me. Okay, and then bring the shoulders up and back, and up and back, and up and back, and clasp the hands behind you, familiar clasp, and lift up, lifting the hands up. Lovely, and release. And let me see, for clasping the hands now, unfamiliar clasp, but at the front. So familiar clasp is how you normally clasp, but just unlinking the fingers and then moving down or up a notch. So it's unfamiliar and feels a bit weird. And then take your hands up in that clasp and push. Push up to the ceiling. It's a long stretch from this kneeling pose. If this kneeling pose is uncomfortable, remember you can always put blocks on your heels, or you can put a cushion between your heels, make it a slightly wider gap between the feet. But don't just suffer it in silence. It can be hard to do for people who have knee problems. And you can always do this stretch with the legs straight out as well, or sitting cross-legged, or sitting on a chair. Okay, breathing out, coming down. And I'd like you to, we're sitting cross-legged, so you might want to get a block or a small wee cushion. And put the cushion underneath you. If you're getting cold feet, you can also put socks on if you want. How warm you are. So here we are in Sukhasana, easy cross-legged pose. I've got my right leg on the outside. Okay, and we're just going to do some side stretches with some twists. Okay, in this pose, and we're going to left foot on the outside, and we're going to do them all over again. Okay. So first of all, I'd like you to raise your left hand up to the heavens and lift. Okay. Take your right hand and put it down onto the floor, palm downwards. Okay. Eventually, we're aiming for having the forearm of this right hand on the floor down there. So I'd like you to slide that right hand. So you go down onto the forearm, keep both buttocks on the floor or on your cushion, nice steady, even seat, and you stretch over. You're stretching your left fingers towards your right hand. So you've got that wonderful side stretch. Okay, breathing into that. If you want, you can turn your head and look up through your upper arm, and just check also that that left elbow isn't coming in front of your face. It's in line with your back, with your bottom elbow, right elbow. Okay. And it should be quite a good strong side stretch. Try and keep that left knee on the ground if you can. Breathe into it. Breathe into it. Breathe into it. Lovely. And then turn that right hand palm downwards. Push yourself up with that right hand. Come up, both arms, up to the heavens. Up, 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 up. Lift some more, lift some more, lift some more, lift some more. Nice, nice, nice stretch. Okay, lovely. And then you know what we're going to do. We're going to do the other side. So bring the left hand down to the floor. The right hand is up, 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 up. And then the left hand slides. We go onto the left forearm. And we try and keep an even seat. You probably find your right knee is trying to come up off the floor, as is the right buttock. And then you stretch over so that your right hand is coming down towards your left hand. And you're still trying to keep that usually quite naughty right knee. It's trying to lift up off the floor. Just try and encourage it down. And see if you can look up through your upper arm. Okay, up to the heavens. Whilst keeping that stretch, really think of opening out in the armpit area, around the rib cage. Keep the pelvis going away to the floor, whilst the rib cage and the hand moving the opposite direction. Away, away, stretch, stretch, stretch. Breathe, 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 stretch, stretch, stretch. Then come up. And both arms go up. Okay, nice and straight. Lift, lift, lift. Well done. Okay, and breathing out. Yay. Breathe out, bring the hands down. Oh, and relax the shoulders. Oh, close the eyes a moment. Lovely. And then place your left foot on the outside. And we're not doing that whole sequence again with the left foot, but in your home practice, you could do that. What we're doing is the twist now with the left foot on the outside. Okay. So we're going back into Sukhasana. You've got your palms of the hands on your knees, roll your shoulders back. Just check they're not misbehaving, getting tight or tense. Right. And before we start doing this twist, I'd just like you to take your gaze to the right, to the center, to the left, to the center, to the right. So getting a little bit of movement into those neck vertebrae, or neck vertebrae, you know. They really like to do this kind of action, and we don't much, and then they stiffen up, And when we're trying to reverse in the car, we can't see behind us on next stiffen up. So please try to remember to do this. In the interval advertisement break, when you're watching television, do it when you're a passenger in the car, do it when you're sitting at your desk for a pause. Okay. So, how are we going to do this? I'd like you to look down at your left hand, and I'd like you to take your left hand over to your right knee. Okay, so left hand to right knee. Your right hand is going round behind you, and if you're sitting on a little block, it might like to sort of perch on the edge of that, but the palm is going down towards the floor, or the fingers are spreading out like a tripod of fingers behind you. And that hand behind you, that right arm, is trying to be the staff to stop you sagging, because it can push you up, make you much more straight. And then for women, you might want to move the chest round to the right a little, so that it's not jamming against the left upper arm. Okay. And then breathe out. Breathe in, lengthen from the crown, push through the right hand. Breathe out, turn to the right. And breathe in, lengthen from the crown, keep the chin down, slightly, and turn on the out breath to the right. So every in breath, you're lengthening up through the crown, and every out breath, you're using the strength of that left hand to push and turn your torso round to the right. And you're also consciously moving your neck round to look into your peripheral vision and beyond, behind you on the right. And once you've got to your maximum, see if you can rest there. You might want to, I don't know, see if you can rest on different parts of your fingers. Adjust your hand position if it's hurting at the back. Keep the twist though, keep that left hand working on that right knee to increase the twist. And just check, is your rib cage far enough away from your pelvis? Because it's those internal organs that are benefiting hugely from this twist. Okay, and then breathing out, coming round to the front. Wonderfully restorative, rejuvenating twists. Just pausing for a moment, you can close the eyes before we do the other side. Feel the body being breathed. You can do a few nice deep breaths. Wonderful body of ours. And the last round of deep breathing. Lovely. And then have a look at your right hand. Your right hand is going to go over to your left knee. Now, if this feels uncomfortable and you want to put the right foot on the outside here, you can do that. But you can also do it with the left foot directly on the outside. The left hand. It's going to go behind you. So swing it around behind you. See if it wants to hold on to the edge of your block or cushion that you're sitting on. For women, you might need to move the chest over to the left more, get it out of the way of jamming against the right upper arm. Okay, and then breathe in, lengthen from the crown, push through the left arm, use it as a staff behind you. Breathing out, turn more, use that right hand to hop pivot the torso, and look behind you. Breathe in, lengthen, breathe out, twisting to the left. So you're using a sort of torque procedure on that left hand, really keeping steady at the back there as a staff. And the right hand pushing against the left knee to twist and bring out the spine and the torso. And see if you can get a little extra twist in the neck vertebra, just looking around as far as you can. So you can see it even further. And when you've got to your maximum breathing, staying in the pose, a little bit hard work, and then especially that right hand and left hand, and they're working quite hard here. Just make sure you haven't sagged in the torso, the spine, and the belly. Relax the face. wonderfully beneficial twists. Wonderful massage they're doing into internal organs, compressing and expanding. Okay, and then on an out breath, next out breath coming round through the front and stretching our legs out wide, 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 wide. And just roll up and down the legs. So I haven't done much standing work at all. But, I am moving into a triangle. So let's see if we get there. Stretch out, breathe in, take the arms up, breathe out, stay there, breathe in, wiggle and jiggle the rib cage up away from the pelvis, and then breathe out, going over that right leg. Okay, and lowering the head down. Breathe in, coming up. And to the left leg, wiggle and jiggle up a bit more, breathe out, coming down. Okay, good. Breathe in, coming up. Breathe out, right leg. Breathe in, coming up. So you know the tricky areas here. One is to keep that rib cage well away from the pelvis. You've got a nice open space for those internal organs in your belly as you do a forward bend. Okay, when you've done that last one to the left, stretch the arms up again. Okay, and breathe out. You know what's going to happen. Widen the feet, bringing the hands down to the floor. And be careful, because this is where the belly tends to spasm, because it does not like being restricted. So maybe go up again. Imagine something just out of your reach there, and try and hinge from the hip joint onto the, put hands on the floor. And you may not be able to go down very far. Just slide your hands away from you. Don't over push. If you over push, these adductors here may not appreciate it. It can be quite tight. Okay, you lower the head, tuck the chin under onto the chest. Expand the shoulder blades. And the shoulders apart and closer to the floor. And if you are getting very strong ouchy, ouchy feelings on the inner thigh, you know, you've got choices. You can bring your feet a little bit closer together, and that will take out the maximum ouchiness. A little bit easier. Okay. And then breathing in, coming up, breathing out, down with the arms, and bring your feet, your knees bent, feet onto the floor, soles of the feet onto the floor. Coming up, you do have a blanket on your mat. It's a good time to remove it. Don't move it too far away because you'll need it for the relaxation at the end. I'd like you to stand in the middle of your mat. Okay. And then remember, my right foot is bandaged up, so this is a pose that's going to be particularly tricky on my right ankle until I've healed it. So with the right foot, I'd like you to pull it in a little, okay, like so. I can get away with that, just about. Maybe not, hold on. So your feet are pulled in a little, and I'll leave mine out facing the front. And then turn the left foot away from you, about your leg length apart. Okay, and it's pointing away from you. And just check that the back of the heel of that left leg is in line with about where the, if you had lines on your mat, it's about in line with where your instep starts on your right foot. Okay, and then always in triangle, we're really protecting the knees, the hips. Okay? Knees especially. So look down at your left knee there and bend that left knee and see when it bends. So we're trying to get it over the second toe, the one next to the big toe. Okay. Now, we don't necessarily bend the knee at the moment. We're just going to bring it back up, but that's where we want it to go. And then just see if you can go a little bit wider, because most of us don't go as wide as we perhaps could wider with front foot to back foot. And with the knee bent going the right way, where is the pelvis? Your hands on the pelvis. That's where I wanted to say. So look at that left bent knee. Straighten that left knee, okay? Keep the pelvis exactly in position. And we're going to go into warrior and down into the triangle. So Virabhadrasana to Trikonasana. But remember in Virabhadrasana, we keep the torso upright, slowly moving the torso. So look again at that left knee, bend it so that your torso is upright, and hopefully your knee bends over that second toe and the front thigh is more or less parallel to the ground. If there's any pain going on through that front kneecap, you can turn your front toes slightly into the center and towards that, the direction that your chest is looking. Okay. And you can hold that knee for a moment, just check everything's all right there. Then bring the arms up. And remember that bit about not leaning. Okay, so arms up, check their level. That hand tends to travel all over the place. So make sure it's directly behind you. Okay, and then see if you can go down a little bit deeper into the pose. Breathing into it, and then look along that left hand into infinity. Immovable, invincible, the warrior, Virabhadrasana. A strong pose. Okay. A little bit of leaning is kind of normal. Try and keep the torso upright, perpendicular if possible. And then eventually you'll feel you've had enough. So straighten that front knee. And you might need to, if you've gone very wide for the warrior, just heel toe, feet a little bit closer together, but keep that left toe pointing away from you. And then we're going to go from there into the triangle. So bring the arms up, lift the rib cage up and away, breathe out, come down, left hand somewhere on that left leg, right hand up to the ceiling. Okay, palm facing the front. Palm facing the front. Okay, and the arms are sort of in alignment, perpendicular. And you're just finding comfortable spot without bringing that shoulder forward. Comfortable spot where your arms are directly above each other. Breathing into it. Okay, breathing in, coming up. Well done. Point the feet towards the front. Heel toe a moment to give the whole legs a rest, just a shake out. Okay, and then let's do the right hand side. So it's the right toes this time facing away from you. So if the end of your mat is facing towards 12 o'clock, that's where your front toes are facing. Back toes are coming in a little, say they're pointing to 10 o'clock, that's 9, 10 o'clock. Okay, and then bend that front knee, check that it's going over the second toe, that direction. Put hands on the pelvis, okay. Straighten up and keep the pelvis exactly there. Then we don't want that knee traveling anywhere. You can check that by occasionally bending the knee so that everything's right. And then I'd like you to bend that front knee but keep the torso upright as you go into the warrior, Virabhadrasana. Breathe in, take the arms up. Okay, check your back hand, which tends to travel. Look along the front hand, infinity. Breathe. Try not to lean. Drop the shoulders, shoulder blades together and going down towards your tailbone. Invincible, steady, strong warrior. And it's tiring a little, so trying to feel as though you're letting go into it rather than fighting it or struggling. Eventually you really feel like you've done too much, so straighten the front leg, lift the rib cage away from the pelvis, and we're going down into the triangle, normal triangle, Trikonasana on this side, going down to where you're comfortable. Remember, it's not a competition. If you're comfortable just holding onto the knee, That's good. Mainly it's about this left flank stretch at the moment. Okay. And you can look to the opposite wall, or if you feel nice and steady, you can look up to the ceiling, following that arm up to the heavens. And most of you know you can go into Theta Trikona Asana, extending the arm, and you could do that in your own home practice next time you do the triangle. Okay, and then breathing out, you can lower down, or coming down this side downwards, so you know both ways to come out of it. Lower down to the floor, then the front knee, place the left knee on the floor, okay, and pull the right foot back and come up to standing slowly from crouched position, hands on knees, push through your knees, up you come. And as you know from the beginning of the class, we're heading to the revolved triangle. Okay, so we're just about to do that. So take the left foot out. Check your right foot, slightly pulled in a little. Check you're wide enough. Okay. That should be your leg length. Is the width between your feet. Okay, check that knee direction. Knees, front left knee's going past that second toe when you bend it. Your hands on your pelvis. And when that knee comes back, keep that pelvis in the right position. You can check it by just slightly bending the knee over and over. Yeah, pelvis is right. Good. Keep it there. Breathe in, bring the arms up, lift the rib cage up through the crown of the head, lift, rib cage up and over and down we go. Okay, and then take your right hand down with you this time to the floor or to a block. So I'm going to reach for a block. Block would be a very good idea. Okay, so you can have a high or low block, and the left hand goes up to the heavens. So this is quite tricky. You'll find probably that your front knee will bend if you're going down quite low. It's a little bit easier if you're up high, but don't expect too much of yourself. You can bend the elbow on that front arm. And you're looking up to the heavens where the left arm is going. Tricky pose. Not easy. And especially not easy if you haven't done it for a while. Bring the left hand down on the next out breath. Turn the left foot, reaching to the front. If you've got your block, take it with you as you come around to the center. Okay. And your right hand positions it ready near your right foot. So coming up, turn your right foot to the right. Got a block there if you need it. Okay, bend that right knee, maybe the second toe. Put your hands on your pelvis, just check. Yeah, good position for the pelvis. Yes, breathe in, thumbs up like we do for the warrior. Lift up the rib cage, lift up the crown of the head, up, over and down. Right hand goes down. Okay, and then left hand follows all the way down to the floor or to a block. It's up to you. And your right hand comes up. So you're in a twisted triangle. Okay, your right hand up to the heavens, looking up through the right arm into the sky. And if you're shaking a little, I'm shaking a little. It's kind of normal for this pose. But we got here. We've got here, we did it. Yahoo! So it really was a bit of yoga by stealth, sneakily, what you're doing, really gentle stuff. Getting you to open up, warm up, until eventually we were headed for this one, which is not a gentle pose, it's a strong pose. All right, breathe out, hands, both hands down to the floor now. Turn, okay, and look at your front foot, looking at your right foot. I'd like you to jump or walk your left foot to join it, okay? And then bend the knees a little, clasp in unfamiliar clasp behind you, head towards the floor. So you're doing a ragdoll forward bend, very gentle one with knees bent, and then arms up to the heavens, bringing the head and face closer to the shins, slightly squatting really, knee. And then release the hands, slide the palms down the backs of the legs, down the front of the legs, push onto the knees, come up and face the front. Breathing in, arms up. Breathing out, arms down to the heart. And again, breathing in, going up. Breathing out, down to the heart. Breathing in, coming up. Breathing out, down to the heart. Releasing the arms. So the next sequence, next video, is going to be working again on revolve triangle, but adding a few more preparations as we move into it. So not starting off quite so gently. And then to relax, what I'd like you to do is come down for a moment. Seated on a chair, we're just going to do some breathing work. So, look around your room or your yoga studio, looking, see what do I want to sit on, nice and comfy, do I want my socks, my feet warm, do I need a blanket around me, if it's a bit chilly, a little bit of self-care, making sure you're being absolutely kind to you, comfy as possible. I'm definitely putting my socks on. I think it's cold tonight. Okay. And a blanket around me. Breathing work, easy breathing work. First of all, just allowing the breath to quieten down a little. Take the shoulders back in case you sort of sat and scrunched up a bit. Hands resting wherever's comfortable for you. I've put my right hand on top of my left in front of the body, or you could have them palms downwards on the knees or on the thighs. Basically wherever's comfy for you. Good. And then we're continuing to do square breathing because it's nice. It helps you really come towards equilibrium. And I'm not a great fan of pushing pranayama, making it too difficult for people. I tend to like to stay with something we know well and stick with it for a while, because the work that it's doing on the lungs and on the central Sushumna, the central line of the chakras, is so beneficial. So with this one, it's the square breathing where we breathe in for 4, and then we hold for 4, and then we breathe out for 4, and then we hold for 4. So you just continue doing that. If you want to, you can increase it to 6 or even 8, you can double it. So it's up to you, but let's start at 4, and then I'll let you do a few rounds on your own. So breathing in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4, out, hold for 4, out for 4, hold. Okay. Do another couple of rounds at least at 4. And then after a couple of rounds, if you want to, you don't have to, you can go up to 6. And if you have gone up to 6, finishing off with 2 rounds of 4s. Okay, keep practicing that during the week. Keep going with it, really trying to expand the lungs as much as possible. So after the breathing work, after that pranayama, square breathing, I'd like you to, we're going to put the legs literally up the wall. So think about, again, think about how you warm enough to put another sweater on. And you'll want some support blocks or cushion against the wall, I should think. And I'd come up and I'd sit on the block close to the wall as though you were going to go to sleep against the wall, okay? And then if you could kind of turn, putting the legs up the wall, okay? Now, if you can get the cushion underneath you, that's good. Underneath the pelvis. And arms resting wherever you like. They can rest out to the sides, palms upwards. They can rest behind the head. It's a little bit uncomfortable there, but some of you might like that. They can rest hands, palms down on the belly. Wherever you feel your shoulders and arms will be most relaxed. And then you can close the eyes and there's nothing to do. Just breathing into it. Viparati Karani is one of the deep, restoring, recuperative poses. And you'll say, oh, I'm going home to put my feet up. Oh, we're literally putting our feet up here. And we're waiting to see if the body really does come to a sort of peaceful quietude. Because that's the state that it's most beneficial to absorb the benefits of the practice. It's not still feeling like it's doing, pushing, straining. Just being. And as you know, the next pose is going to be the corpse pose, where you can get snug under your blankets and really let go into a deep rest, yoga nidra, yogic sleep. So well-deserved rest after all the hard work we've been doing. So to come out of this pose, bend the knees and roll onto one side and push with the hands to come up so that you can prepare your lying down space. Nice to have a blanket beneath you, a blanket on top. Make sure that you're going to be warm enough. And turn that ceiling light off if I were you, so it's not glaring down at you. If you have an eye pillow, that's really lovely to use for the corpse pose. So all these little adjustments. So, first of all, making sure that your blanket will cover you. Especially your feet. It's very rare in England that we get to doing corpse pose and we don't need a blanket. Okay, and you might want a small block or small cushion underneath your head. Keep the chin a little bit towards the chest. Okay, and then wrap yourself up. Take the glasses off. My pillow on if you can find it. So it's just a bit of material like that with, I presume mine is some kind of weighted beads inside. And they apply pressure to the nadi points around the eye socket. Very, very relaxing, very nice. Okay, check your corpse pose, that your hands are palms upwards, that your shoulders are away from the head, the feet are nice and wide apart. And glory, hallelujah, we don't have to do anything. Just letting the body sink into the ground and let go. And if the mind wanders off, just bring it back to being aware of the body, scan through the body. How does your body feel now after all that work that we've done? Maybe just check and see whether you're still kind of holding your arms a bit tense. Let them drop down, 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 let go. Completely let go of them. Let go of the jaw so that the teeth aren't clenched at all. There's a gap between top teeth and bottom teeth. Just drop the jaw. And if the mind wanders off again, just Aware of the body being breathed. Where is it moving as you breathe? What is the breath like? And it's as though the body has become like molten lead, heavy, liquid, sinking downwards into the earth, letting go completely. And you may be beginning to feel how, as the body deeply rests, it can actually more deeply absorb the changes, the benefits that have come from our practice, so that the benefits are not dissipated and more deeply absorbed out into the cells and atoms of the physical body, the subtle body, the emotions and the mind. So if you're at home and you want to stay resting there, there's no reason to rush. If you've got time, I would highly recommend staying in the corpse pose in Shavasana. And just disregard my instructions for coming out of the pose. Just lie there and enjoy. And for those of you who wish to end the session now and come up, I would wriggle the fingers and the toes, movement back into the body, bring the legs closer together, parallel, and then breathing in, bring the toes towards you and the arms either up to the heavens or behind you. Stretch, stretch the toes away from you. And then bend the knees, removing the eye pillow if you have it on, and coming up. So that was our practice this evening. I ran over by about 5 minutes. I'm sorry about that. We started in real time, we started late. So I also factored that in. And let's just end with a Sanskrit chant. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you.